Emotional manipulation.
Brilliant. I want to start by saying we gamify much of the content, and it's a really interesting journey because we do provide tools to deal with some very dark, hard, complicated, and painful issues, but we do it in a way that doesn't lead them down a dark, negative path. So it's a fun experience doing Internet Citizens, but it helps them, equips them for life as well, which is quite cool. But emotional manipulation, I think young people are experts in it because through the workshop, we ask them, when have you experienced emotional manipulation? When have you been emotionally manipulated? When have you done it? And they might emotionally manipulate their parents when it comes to Christmas, about what presents, summertime, which holidays, where they want to go on holiday to. And then experiencing emotional manipulation. We tell them every time you watch comedy, you are expecting to laugh. So you want the narrative, the comedian to elicit that response in you. A lot of them are hung up on horror films, and they become aware through the exercise that a horror film without music is not a horror film. You know, the sounds play a big part. They talk about jump cuts, and they share a lot of their understanding. We then apply that to a very simple exercise where we show them two videos, two charity videos, and they're 1 minute videos that will transform how they feel from neutral to feeling pity, sadness because there's an advert with a dog and the dog is homeless and the RSPCA are going to save the day. And then we get them to unpack, how did they end up feeling sad? What is it? And we give these emoji faces so they can just hold up a happy face or angry face, and then they can explain that response. We show a second video, which is about Save the Children, and it looks at the whole concept of children suffering in Syria, but it transports that narrative to British soil. And it's mind-blowing for the young people to go, hang on a minute, I wouldn't have known how to care about someone who lives thousands of miles away if it wasn't for a video showing that this is happening on my doorstep.
That's the Don't Panic video of, that's the production company with the young girl that's like, it's her birthday, and it's within a year.
Yeah. Incredible video, which I think people should definitely have a look at. Just for the ability to pack such a punch in short space of time. We then make it into an interactive exercise. They break into smaller groups, and in those groups, they dream up their own advertising campaign. It could be an environmental issue. It could be no uniform in school. And in that, they get a chance to demonstrate their understanding of emotional manipulation. Which things can they put into this advert, which will then convince someone of why they should agree with them. And we show them all of these things happen. They don't always have any link to logic. You know, there might not be a logical argument to giving money to dogs because, I mean, you could look at, say, for instance, like cancer adverts with cancer research and people giving money every single week, every single month, and it's been decades and no cure. Someone might say, hang on a minute, I'm going to stop giving you money until you can explain to me where you're at with this thing. I've been running, I've been fighting, I've been punching cancer. You haven't cured it. Can we stop the emotional manipulation and ask the question, where are we at and are we failing? So logical answers versus emotional answers, it gives them all the tools to figure out how to make important decisions when they're being manipulated.
Sure. Well, the classic example is with footage of starving children on the African continent, and you know, people going, it's same photos every year, and it's so I'm done with this. But what's really interesting about emotional manipulation is it's not an either or between. Something can be emotionally manipulative and true. And I know that, like, if we talk about the Syria video of the young girl, I remember when that went out and people were going, "Oh, it's just propaganda to make us feel sorry for refugees," right. And it's this idea that it's been constructed to make you feel, so that it is emotionally manipulative, but by its very nature, that's what the advert is. But that doesn't take away from the fact it is a reality. And I think that's, again, that runs through all of these different things. Human beings don't like to feel that we can be manipulated, and we like to feel that we're totally in control. And so if you see something and you're like, this is making me feel a certain way, that admission of I didn't have control of that, you just freeze up and go, I don't want to buy into this.
Sure.
Even if it's so clearly true, because you're like, I want to be logical, come to it at a logical way, as opposed to be emotionally. But when we have friendships or we have conversations, life is about manipulation. We manipulate the conversation with people we have, and that's just the way it is. But I think when it comes to adverts, you have a 1 minute slot, you've got to make impact. And it goes back to also, time is money. And you have 1 minute to get that point across and engagement and stuff like that. But I do find it interesting that people can't seem to separate that things can be emotionally manipulative and also true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? I mean, I always lift the veil and just say, by the way, I have been emotionally manipulating you throughout the whole of this workshop. And they're like, huh? It's like, yeah, when we came out, we made you laugh at the beginning. Like, that was premeditated.
Yeah.
We did us versus them. I took one half the hall. Effie took the other half of the hall. We made you not like the other group so we could get the volume levels up. We then unified you. We then told you, these manipulation is how we shape reality. And I think just wanting them to be conscious and the transparency.
Yes.
So they're aware of how they're manipulated. There was this great story, you probably know it, the Coney one, Get Coney.
2012, yeah.
2012, yeah. I walked into my classroom and it was a day like no other. They're normally messing about on YouTube. They'll kind of turn and look to me like, Fusion, we have to do something. I go, do what, huh? Do who, what? Coney, we have to stop Coney. And I was like, they sat me down and gave me a presentation. And now we need to do something. And I was like, this is the most unified you've ever been. But I said to them, have you checked the story? Do you know what this is? And then I took my lunchtime and we broke the whole thing down and they were just absolutely shocked. So the transparency is so crucial.
Yeah.
So they realize that someone could put a battery in their back and they're off. They wouldn't even know it.